Mom and Dad walk into the living room of the house I grew up in Jamaica, Queens. And the light of a late summer sun is streaming across their skin. My heart is beating fast, and it's fueled by love and respect for them. And it's fueled by the rebellious irreverence of what I'm about to share with them. And it's fueled by a sense of my own agency and freedom. I didn't take the MCAT. I am not going to medical school. I am moving to Japan in 2 weeks to live on a tiny island and teach English. And I hope you'll come with me to see me off at JFK. 2 weeks later, they're with me. And Dad walks me to the gate. His name is Bharat, and it means Mother India. And it means light against darkness. And it is apropos of his bigness. He's big in mind, body, spirit, stature, and presence. We talk about big ideas from the time I'm really young. We talk about creating a world in the image of possibility, a world grounded in love and less fear. We talk about JFK and MLK and movement makers. And we talk about a world that is just, equitable, and peaceful, not just for some of us, but for all of us, because those are resources available to all. As he walks me to the gate, he looks at me and he says, "Nita, you're so small. You're going so far. How will you survive?" I arrive in a port in Japan, and the song Imagine is playing in the background. And I'm like, what? And I board a jet foil with 5 other people to make my way on this 5-hour journey to Ojika, a tiny island I've never been to. It is the unknown. The sun is shining, but 2 hours later, we're in the midst of a turbulent, tumultuous typhoon. The waves are 4.5 meters high. That's like 12 feet for us Americans. The storm clouds are heavy, they're dark, and the ocean is navy blue. A few hours later, I step onto firm ground on this tiny island, and I look out into the dark lights. There are no lights on the island at night. I stare off into this unknown expanse, and Dad's words come with me as I step onto the shore. "Nita, you're so small. You're going so far. How will you survive?" I survived that first storm, and as I look out into the unknown, I see the light of my freedom. 10 years later, I've been a teacher, a corporate consultant, and now I'm a leader in the largest school system in the country. We're big, 1.1 million students. I have a big job. I go to big meetings at the mayor's office. I oversee a big budget of $2 billion. And I walk into a big bullpen full of cubicles every day where nobody looks up to greet one another. And beneath the weight of that and my 80-hour work weeks, I feel small. People perceive me as big. You're up to big things. I don't feel connected to myself. I don't feel connected to my mind, my body, my creative agency, my spirit, and my sense of the bigness within. Every day, around noon, the same vision comes to me. I'm sitting in that cubicle with a bullhorn, and I scream out, "Dance break, liberation break." And everybody drops their pens, and we all jump on top of our desks. And we are dancing and singing and connecting to ourselves and our creativity and our life force. And we're moving to the sound of freedom cries, and we're connecting through our eyes. And then I'm back in my seat, and I am small. And I look out over the beautiful bullpen of cubicles at these amazing humans full of amazing potential that outsizes the size of the boxes they're sitting in. And I imagine their freedom and mine, but I don't feel it. And I imagine their creativity and their light, but I don't see it. And I imagine their well-being and sustainability, but I don't experience it. And a light begins to move through the cracks in my system, because the matrix is within me. It's out there, but I'm responsible for creating and perpetuating it. And that light, as it moves through those cracks, it moves me. And so I leave. Fueled by that light, I leave to start my own freelance journey. I found a consultancy called Alight. We do strategy and policy work, and we're doing great. 2 years in, we're a 6-figure thriving business. I have an awesome team. I'm feeling good. The work is good, and I'm free. But what I take away most from that journey is that when I am grounded, I am big. I learn to take care of myself. I create containers for my own well-being. I meditate, I do yoga, I move, I see my people, my friends, and my family. I create anchor practices to support my own grounding so I can feel that bigness. And this is a new truth that emerges for me on that journey. This is our first value, and I will tell you who we are in just a little bit. We are grounded. We tend to our minds and bodies with care. We integrate healthy practices. We turn toward each other to face and embrace fear, uncertainty, and change. We are the strongest ground we have. Along this journey, I meet countless other incredible freelancers. And if you don't know, over half the US labor force is freelancing by 2027. We might be small, but we are quite big. In New York City, it is 1/3 of the labor force. Kelly Doss is in power. She's a Black woman. She is a lawyer. She is a nonprofit executive in the talent and equity space. And her power and wisdom is outsized. The potency of what she creates in the world by sharing her gifts as a leader, I don't have words for it. She builds a leadership coaching practice while having a full-time job. And if you ask her what has fueled her power and her rise, she will say it comes down to one thing: relationships. Relationships mirror back to us our own power and our bigness. Relationships are the foundations of all that we do. We are in power through self-responsibility, self-trust, and self-leadership. That's the relationship with ourselves. Our power doesn't arise and thrive in making money. It arises and thrives in building relationships in which we both give and receive. So I keep going and I keep meeting amazing people. Jahan Mountain and Boy Wen Gao are these creative, dynamic libraries of stories. They run a 2-person consultancy called Project Inkblot that works with large companies, the likes of Etsy and NPR and Indiegogo. They use their trademark Design for Diversity process to build more equitable products and services. And when you hang out with them, you can't help but leave with full belly laughter and with a sense of your own humanity. It doesn't matter how big or small the space they occupy is, they always bring their humanity with them. We are equal. We are equal. No matter the size or the differences between us, we are human and we are equal. We level the playing ground in our client and freelance relationships by acknowledging our shared humanity. The next truth emerges. We are gifted. Eduardo Placer has big talents and big gifts, and he shares his big truths with big fearlessness from the time he's really young. For most of the spaces that he's in, his truth speaking is too big. His fearlessness evokes fear in the people he encounters. His fearlessness evokes fear in the spaces he occupies. And so, to create a space that is big enough for the expanse of his transformative gifts, he creates Fearless Communicators. He serves people worldwide, globally, to unleash the power of their voices and their truth in service of creating a more peaceful, equitable, just world. Eduardo is gifted, and it creates ripple effects. We are all gifted. We are each uniquely gifted when we discover our strengths, our innate creativity, and our capacities. We awaken to and claim the possibility for the unique contribution we can make in the world. And the final value, the final truth that emerges on this freelance journey that I've been on, maybe you know what it is. We are free. Prashant Goel has a boyish grin and a big spirit, and he loves to dance. He's the son of East Indian immigrants who are doctors. So he goes to law school, and he goes to business school, and he works in the corporate world, and he is wicked smart. And one day, he decides it's not enough. So he calls me up, and he says, I'm going on this journey of self-discovery. I don't know where I'm going. Should I go? And I think back to my time on Ojika, and I think back to Dad's words, and I think back to the dance break, and I say, absolutely. So he travels the world. He studies with masters across disciplines, spiritual wisdom traditions, psychology, and more. He follows his heart's desire. And today, he's a coach sharing that very deep wellspring of love and capacity with individuals and organizations around the world, helping them to unleash the fullness of the potential that lies across their minds, their bodies, and their spirits. Prashant is free, and so are we. We are free to discover, create, and contribute the work that is most aligned to who we are from the inside out. That's a choice. That is our agency. I am the founder of Be Free, and these are our values. We don't just speak them, we speak them into action and creation. We live them. We're about closing the gap between what we say and what we espouse and what we embody. If we are not them, who will be? We're a response to that staggering metric that over half the US labor force will be a freelancer. And we invest in the education, the empowerment, the the wellness and the sustainability of individual freelancers, because we know that small is very big. If they're over half of us, if we are over half of us, there's an ROI on that investment. And this is not just about freelancers. It's about consumption and production. Are we humans or are we resources? Are we consuming ourselves in service of producing ever more and more? And if we are, and I urge you to think about this for yourself, we have the agency to do something about it. We're free. So I'd like you to reflect on places in your life where maybe you're not taking the care of yourself that you could be. Are you consuming your own energy and creativity and capacity in service of something that isn't aligned? I invite you to consider that and reconsider the commitment of that energy. This is about more than consumption and production. So if you think about who's leaving, who's being forced to leave, however it looks, who is it? My stories are a compilation of a very diverse group of people in skills, in talents, in color, in gender, in ability. It's all of us. We are people of color, we are women, we are men who are dissatisfied with our outsized potential not being realized inside of our small and binding cubicles. We are people whose well-being is suffering. We don't even know what our potential is. So, my other urge and encouragement to anybody in this group is that this is about equity, diversity, and inclusion. If you're a founder of a small business, a freelance business, or an enterprise-level organization, I urge you to think about what you are building with. What are the values you are grounding yourself in and infusing? We have an opportunity when we recreate the world before us as people who are creating something new in the world to do it embodying the values and the ways of being we really want to be. Don't retrofit equity, diversity, and inclusion. Integrate it, build it from the ground up. If you want to go big and you want to serve all people, build with them, build with us. What we create will be that much more powerful. We are grounded, we are in power, we are equal, we are gifted, we are free. And I invite you to raise your voices with me. You can stand, you can move, you can dance. I'm in the mood for some rolling freedom cries. And what I ask you to join me in, just repeat, I am free on your own breath for as long as you can. Let's roll it into we are free. And let's roll that into you are free. How about I am free, you are free, we are free. I am free, you are free, we are free. I am free, you are free, we are free. We are free. I am free, you are free, we are free. We are free. I am free, you are free, we are free. You are free. Imagine the world we would create if we created ourselves and each other in the image of all of these 5 values.
So, talk about manifestation. I was working with Nita this afternoon, and she was talking about her story. And not knowing that part of the story at all, if you pick up your programs and look to the back, I have printed out the words to the song Imagine. So we're going to sing that. Imagine there's no country.
It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for.
And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You group sway. You may